Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We got it! We got
New 52 booklet.
it! Somebody clip this one.
Welcome to Under Two Capes. I am Jared. I'm here with Teladia and Nick. What's up, gentlemen? Yes. So we are reviewing X-Men 97, which let me tell you this. So I'm going to start off by saying I was apprehensive going into this based upon the fact that Marvel has been failing the X-Men in the comics. So I was like, oh God, what are they going to do with the show? And then I remembered, well, Bo DeMeo was involved in at least the first two seasons, and he did say, I only hired people that were fans. And you know what? I'm going to say this. Here's my opening statement. DeMeo kept to his word. Because, my gosh, this is legit. What's up, Nick?
I am convinced that they just say stupid stuff, like the whole morph being non-binary. It is never even mentioned in these episodes.
It kind of is so you know how in the credits they show like the character, like their power, like in the classic X-Men, they refer to morph as their, but that's it.
Yeah, so they take like something that's like barely even mentioned and make this whole big deal about it, specifically to piss people off, get them talking about it, and then when you watch it, it's like they barely even talk about it. Like the only like woke-ish stuff they kind of do is they kind of hint about Charles and Magneto being gay lovers. Like
no, they don't. That's another one of someone on Twitter taking that, and I'm like, you do realize that guys can hug each other and take photos.
No. There's other things where like oh, he loved you. Like there's enough there for people for the interpretation to happen. Is what I'm.
Well, here's the thing with the Rogue thing. I'm like. Well,
okay, so it's bisexual.
Well, yeah, but they said I think that's just the Shepherds taking stuff and like misinterpreting it, like when they tried to say that Falcon and the Winter Soldier should be a couple. But anyway, ignoring that. Again, this was actually now, Nick. I got to ask you this: was the animation as bad as it was in the clips?
In spots, yes.
In spots, yes, but like in the action scenes, what'd you say?
The action scenes were fine, but a lot of the incidental stuff reeked of like really bad CG animation.
Yeah, exactly. And I was watching Clownfish, and then I'll get to you, Teladia, where what he was saying is that so first off, they came out and said it's mostly hand-drawn animations, and even he said, in the quiet scenes where like they're just standing around talking, it does get a little rough, and I'll acknowledge that. It's not my favorite when there's not a lot of action. When there is action, though, oh my gosh, was that cool. What'd you think, Teladia?
I really enjoyed the action in the first two episodes.
Yes.
And it definitely reminded me of the 90s X-Men cartoon for sure. Yes, the animation style wasn't like the 90s, but still it's an enjoyable show. Definitely people gotta watch this. Now I don't know when the next episode
it's every Wednesday. Let me put it this way: if you're an X-Men fan, you have to watch this show. Respects the source material 100 so far. Again, we only have 2 episodes, so and as we know with this company, things could go downhill real fast. But assuming it stays, if it just stays the course, this is fine. Just keep it like that. Now, I will say one of my favorite parts is where Cyclops is falling out of the X-Jet, and he uses his vision to cushion his fall. I was like, why hasn't this been used?
I will say they do get a bit heavy-handed with the human supremacist stuff. Like, their dialogue is so on the nose. It is laughably terrible.
But again, it's like it's X-Men, and that was even in the '90s cartoon.
I don't know. Like, I may be clouded by memory, but I feel like even in the cartoon, it wasn't as heavy-handed.
It kind of was, at least in my opinion, but that could just be me. But again, every character got like a really dope moment, like when Cyclops goes, "Tell him the forecast," and then Storm shows up and like creates like a glass tornado with the Sentinels, and I was like, "Oh, this is dope!" And particularly when the Sentinels go, "Omega threat detected," I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Also, we need to have a section for theories about how the season is going to go.
Oh,
I have thoughts.
Yes, I have thoughts too, dude. I particularly that ending. In a second. So, yeah, and I do agree with you that, like, let me put it this way. Action. I enjoyed episode 1 for the action scenes, but episode 2 was way better than 1. Like,
Agreed.
way better.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, so for theories. Now, here's the thing. I'll go first. By the way, spoiler alert. We're going into spoilers right now. I have to put that in there.
Jared, put a spoiler tag up. Put a spoiler tag up. So
I'll have it on the video when I edit it. Spoiler. So, a Jean Grey clone shows up at the end, and immediately I'm like, Madeline frickin' Pryor.
Yeah, that was my thought too. Also, Nathan Summers.
Cable, baby, Cable. How about also when Morph turns into Psylocke? I was like, okay, and Psylocke's actually like sword fighting, and I'm like, okay, this is actually, they use Morph really well in this, I think.
Yeah, really well. Plus, seeing a character we haven't seen before. Oh, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Storm is going to go to Wakanda.
Yeah, I think because they did hint that there's gonna be a lot of cameos in this. I think she's gonna go to Wakanda, and I think like season finale she'll return repowered up, or like she goes on like a vision quest
story. Yeah, because like they really put a lot of dialogue about her being a goddess and all that stuff. I think she's gonna at least go to Africa. I think Wakanda is probably what it kind of thing. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if T'Challa was like her ex-boyfriend or something, or
something like that. Yeah, and so here's the thing. This may be a story that I didn't read, but I don't remember reading a story where Rogue and Magneto were a thing.
Yeah, I didn't read about that either.
I mean, there's been storylines of it. There's like a famous like painting of them.
Oh, okay. So I figured that's what it was, because again, I figured at this point, the show had earned enough trust that I was like, it's probably something I did not read, as opposed to what they did not read.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
Did you notice that the newspaper in the beginning of episode 2 was the Daily Bugle?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
And Spider-Man S-Task did have a crossover with X-Men, so they might actually bring in Spider-Man and use this as a setup for a like new Spider-Man anime, because actually the Spider-Man anime series does need conclusion. Like,
can you imagine if they bring back all these shows and bring back that animated universe?
Oh my god!
If this is popular, if this is popular, I could see that happening. Which again, by the way, go ahead, Teladia.
I hate to say it, but this would mean that there would be one up on DC.
Well, that's not that hard if you look at what James Gunn's
announcing. Wait, can I call it now?
Sure.
The MCAU.
So
Marvel Cinematic Animated Universe.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you this. X-Men 97 has the highest Rotten Tomatoes score of any Marvel Cinematic Universe project.
Oh, yeah.
100% critic, 94 audience.
Yeah, like if they can just keep this momentum they're going, this could be the start of a new age.
Yeah, in other words, keep this level of writing and respect for the characters. First off, you could revitalize the X-Men brand. That's key there, particularly after the last 5 years of BS. It's kind of funny. So I was texting Britt this because she watched it too, and she loved it, by the way. But she was telling me about. I asked her, "Oh, you're an X-Men fan?" She goes, "I think about getting invested sometimes." Then I said, "Did you know they just got off an orgy island?" And then she goes, "Wait, what?" She had no idea about the Hickman stuff.
Here's the thing about bringing in Madeline Pryor. that means they could be doing the Inferno, Goblin Queen, and possibly the Mutant Massacre. Like, that's potential storylines they could be hitting. Because the Mutant Massacre happened during the Inferno. And they already brought in the Morlocks. Like imagine the Morlocks getting, because the Mutant Massacre was where they killed all the Morlocks during the Inferno.
Yeah, they could definitely do that. Now, do you think they bring back Apocalypse?
Not this season. I think the season, they're already setting up too many storylines. I don't think that's going to happen.
Now, who do you think is going to be the big bad? See, here's the thing. I think I'm fairly certain they're going to bring back Sinister because he was even in the intro. So I'm like, there's no way there's no way you do that with just a random villain. And you notice in the intro for episode 2, they brought in the Phoenix.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they did mention they did mention the Phoenix. So, and Madeline Pryor's storyline, like, becomes the Goblin Queen because she has like the latent Phoenix powers. So the Phoenix might come into play, which, by the way, X-Men the animated series is the only time they ever actually adapted the Phoenix Saga right.
Jared, you got to play that intro. God, you got to play Nick's intro because of that.
What intro? Oh, yeah, okay.
I am Phoenix!
Oh, I got one for you, sir, tomorrow.
Oh, my.
I think Nick knows something. It has something to do with what we watched for a watch party. Something you identify as a clip. It involves a fighter jet. Let me put it to you that way. But yeah, I mean, honestly, here's the thing. I was really surprised with how good this was. Because again, like Nick, I was waiting. I was like, okay, here comes the inevitable shooter drop where it gets super preachy and stuff. It didn't.
The only criticism I have is the humans' like dialogue, even from the UN, was kind of poorly written and terribly on the nose. But even then, that's somewhat tolerable.
Yeah, and again, it's like that's like the world they're in right now. So it's like
and the thing is, and if that's the worst thing about the show, they're already doing way better than it.
They're already doing way better. And by the way, so real quick, I'll be right back. You guys talk more about the show. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So, Teladia, about Wonder Bat. But no. Teladia, what's your history with the X-Men animated series?
Well, it was round about the time when Spider-Man was on. That's how I got introduced to the X-Men.
Oh, I love Spider-Man the animated series. We're not talking about that here, but like, yeah.
That's how I got introduced to the X-Men through one.
All right, who said Wonder Bat?
Not me.
Take a guess.
I heard Nick. Oh boy, I'm gonna really enjoy using that clip tomorrow.
Worth it.
But anyway, so yeah, again, to that point, imagine if they bring in Spider-Man in this.
I mean, I think the Daily Bugle hint, like having the Daily Bugle paper, was kind of a hint. And plus, Spider-Man did cross over with them already, so he already knows them.
Now, the other thing that I'm wondering, here's a theory / prediction I have. So you know what happened in the X-Men since the original show came out? Emma Frost became an X-Man because remember, she was the White Queen in the original Phoenix Saga. So I'm like, are they going to have her turn good and join the team?
Well, the thing is, so here's the thing: is I think Nathan, like, the thing is, I think they're adapting the storyline where Jean Grey died because of the Phoenix, and then like Jean Grey came back, but it turned out the one that Scott married and had a child with was Madeline Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah.
So I think the Jean that came back at the end is the actual Jean Grey.
Well, yeah. I was about to say, because it was kind of funny. Fortuitously, I just read the comic where Madeline Pryor shows up, and I was just going through it in my head, like, is that the way it went? Yeah, it is. You are correct, Nick.
So yeah. So the one that he married, or whatever. Plus, it's been a year. Like, okay, that's enough time to make a baby. So like, people like complaining about that. Like, do you know how
No.
time works? It's been a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. They're expected to be like immediately there. Now, in terms of so the other thing I want to bring up is like this show is also accused of like desaxifying like Rogue and stuff. And here's the thing, though. They always use that one image of her on the ground in front of Apocalypse, but here's the problem with that. There were also images from the original cartoon where she is like she is in this show. So I that really didn't.
Well, my counter argument to that is, if they were desexualizing her, they did a very bad job of it.
Yeah, I know, right? Because
she's still got the curves. She's still wearing attractive clothing. Like, all the characters are dressed attractive. I'm not saying they're sexed up or whatever, but they're dressed, attractive. They're still attractive people.
And I gotta say, I freaking love Rogue. It's kind of funny. She was always my favorite character, one of my favorites from the original cartoon. And I'm like, ah, man, you kept her in that spot. My God, she's awesome.
I'm just waiting for people to be like, Storm was a girl boss. Like, no, Storm has always had that commanding presence. Like, come on.
And she led the X-Men in the Claremont run. Now,
also,
the
I love
criticism.
Her, I forgot how much I love Storm's voice actress. I forgot that.
But by the way, here's another. It's not really a prediction because it's going to happen. They're going to put her in the outfit she had in the comics when she had the mohawk.
Yeah, probably.
She's not. She left that costume behind. Now, the other thing I really dug is the Magneto plotline in this, where he's determined to like be a good guy. And there's a part of my head that's like, I'm waiting for that shoe to drop, and it almost did in episode 2.
Yeah, I think it's I at this point I kind of feel like it's for real, because Magneto has actually led the X-Men in the comics, for Xavier's Dream. So
and that was actually one of Claremont's plans. He wanted Magneto to eventually become a good guy and lead the X-Men.
Also, can they get him out of that like stupid costume? I know it's what he had at the end of the run, but that costume is really stupid.
What, with the M and stuff?
Yeah.
They probably will. So, Teladia, what did you think of Magneto's arc?
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Because it's like, not to go political, but it's like,
Yeah.
but it reminds you that, people can change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of the perception of a person. And it's like, this is what real world, if X-Men 97 can show how we could change things, this shows it.
Well,
If you
again,
know what I
and
mean.
Nick, we said this in one of the Comics Watch episodes we did on the. By the way, real quick, I'll continue that in a second. This episode's a real hailstorm. I mean, this show's a real hailstorm so far, so I'm enjoying.
All
that.
right, who does she voice?
Jean Grey.
Oh, no wonder you like this show so much.
Even though she plays a character that's known for dying. But anyway, so Nick, we said this on Comics Watch, where the thing about the X-Men animated series, and so far this show is repeating, is that yes, they do have the X-Men stand in for being othered, and they do kind of walk that line, but they don't cross the line. In other words, they keep it like pretty eccentric, like hating someone because they're different in any way is bad. I think we can all agree on that.
By the way, I wouldn't be shocked if North Star appears for like an episode or something.
That's true. They could do that too. Now, let me ask you guys this. What's like a list? So originally I was gonna say our 5 favorite X-Men characters. We've done that already. So I'm gonna change this. What characters do you want to show up in the actual show? Season 1. I'll start with Nick. Go ahead. Because we know Kurt's showing up.
Well, Spider-Man first and foremost.
Well, yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry, but like my love for Spider-Man the Animated Series. I love that, and that show. Yes. I really want them to continue like a season 5 because that show needs a conclusion really badly. But like, I'm trying to think here. Deadpool.
Deadpool and Wolverine hanging out. By the way, here's
No.
the other thing. I forgot Wolverine was short.
Also, if they have Deadpool show up, can he be voiced by Nolan North again?
Actually, that's a great idea. I would love that because he did a great job about that. What about you, Teladia?
It's hard for me to say.
All right,
I got one. I got one. No.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
We need the greatest mutant ever in the history of creation.
Gold
I want
balls?
soft serve to appear.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed, they
If
reference. I know you're talking about. They reference gold balls in the episode, so I actually started laughing at that. By the way, he's a mutant that shoots gold balls from his body. That's his powers. And then they used him with the resurrection of mutants. But obviously,
Speaking of mutants, you like that they had Sunspot in the pilot?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, for a second there, I was like, who the hell is this guy? I feel like he's important. And I was like, as soon as like he did the hand thing, I was like, oh, okay, I see.
Was Magic in the original? I can't remember if Magic showed up.
I don't think so. I know Colossus was, but
yeah, Magic is a character that I'm really surprised Marvel hasn't tried to push more. Because he's really cool and interesting character.
And honestly, Anna Taylor-Joy played him pretty well in the movie.
Yeah.
So in terms of, for me, I know Emma Frost is probably gonna show up because if you notice at the end of the intro, she was in the lineup. So I'm like, yeah, she's gonna show up. It's just a matter of like, is she gonna become a good guy? Maybe they'll do the whole psychic affair thing with Cyclops and her.
Well, here's the thing. And here's I'm gonna cook for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's say the Jean that just gave birth is actually Madeline Pryor. Okay, it revealed that she's not actually Jean. That will push them apart. Okay, like he's not gonna want to be with that person because, well, you lied to him, kind of thing, and that'll push him in. And the other Jean, like for whatever reason, he goes in the arms of Emma Frost.
Yes, thank you, because So for those that don't know, Emma Frost and Cyclops is my Marvel Super Wonder. Although actually it's being followed very closely by Emma Frost and Iron Man because they're actually married in the comics right about now, which actually is not a bad comic run, I will say. So that's another character, Iron Man. I would love to see Tony show up. But it's the Tony with the mullet and the I am Iron Man. That's all. I think that'd be really cool.
Well, the thing is, you also got to realize in that universe, there's Captain America's there. We got also. I wonder if White Nick Fury's gonna show up.
That would be hilarious. Now here's another one
based off of that universe. Nick Fury's white in that universe. So
now here's the other thing that technically could happen in this: the Predator. Technically, they could do that.
No, that's too much.
Well, they did in the comics, so I'm like,
yeah, but that's too much, man. That's too much.
All right. Aliens, then.
Dude.
I'm only kidding, but now it's gonna come up inevitably. I really hope. I have to put this disclaimer on here. I really hope that they steer away from the Krakoa stuff for this. Don't sully this with the island.
Well, I actually think they kind of planted their flag. Genosha is the closest equivalent to Krakoa they have.
Well, on they did that. I think was the Genosha run a Claremont thing?
But I don't think they're going to do Krakoa because they made a big deal about Genosha being a thing.
And yeah, I do. And yeah, that's the comics. So yeah, that works. Now the question is, are they going to also do the destruction of Genosha?
Possibly. I wouldn't put it off the table because you that could be a thing because Genosha they're very clearly setting up Genosha as a plot point because Genosha being in the UN and all that stuff. So destruction of Genosha is definitely on the table. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen. So
for those of you that don't know, Nick, explain to the audience the whole what we're talking about when we talk about the destruction of Genosha.
Actually, you're probably better equipped to do it.
Okay, so what happened is So this was one of Marvel's attempts to like minimize the mutants because there were so many of them at that point. So they took this character named Cassandra Nova, and I think she's like Professor Xavier's sister or something like that.
Yeah, she's the villain of Deadpool 3.
Yeah, so she programs a Sentinel, like a super Sentinel, to show up on Genosha. And so what Genosha is, it's an island established by Magneto. It's like a safe haven for mutants. So the Sentinel shows up and like wipes them all out, except for like Emma Frost. She's the only survivor.
That's cold.
That's also coincidentally when they discover her like ability to turn to diamonds, because Grant Morrison is the one that brought up that X-Men technically have two powers, like Beast and is turning into a Catman, or Emma Frost being a psychic and the ability to turn her skin to diamonds. So, I mean, that's what we're referencing. The thing is, particularly when I think they are saying that because not only they're doing Genosha, but you guys notice that the human supremacists have Sentinel tech. Maybe they just program a Sentinel to go kill everyone in Genosha.
Also, I gotta call it out. They're using Mega Busters. They're clearly borrowing Dr. Light. Like they broke into Dr. Light's lab, and they stole the Mega Buster that was designed for Mega Man.
Yeah, you know what?
That is clearly the Mega Buster. Like literally, the person who created it is a Mega Man fan because that is they ripped off the Mega Buster. It is exactly the Mega Buster from Mega Man.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. It looks very much like that. So
it looks exactly like a Mega Buster. I'm sorry.
Watch, they'll retcon. So the X-Men in the X-Men universe, the creators of Mega Man got the idea from the blasters from that.
Oh dear God! Please no! Please, for the love of God, no!
I will manifest that just so I can see Nick melt down.
Oh my God! I already am.
Yeah, it would be so good. So Teladia, your thoughts on the overall show so far?
I'm loving it. Like it's a great show, and it's living up to the name X-Men '97.
Yeah. Now, how do you guys rate the 2 episodes together out of 10? Me, I give it a solid 9 out of 10, I think.
I would agree with you. It's 9 out of 10 for me.
Nick?
I give it like an 8.7 because, like I said, the animation's a bit stilted, and some of the like I said, the human-centric dialogue can be rather cringy, but overall very enjoyable. The characters are still attractive. You know, they're pushing story. And the politics is kept to a minimum. Well, I mean, it's a very political show, but they're doing it in a way that I can respect.
Plus, the characters act consistently. That's the thing. And the reason why the animation never really bothered me is because I always remember what Sam Liu said when he came on the show is that animation does not get a big a budget, even here. Because here's the thing, and actually David brought it up in our group chat. He said that a lot of animation is not as respected here as it is in like Asia. So I guess it kind of makes sense there. By the way, do you know that the animation studio that worked on this apparently was the one that did Korra?
That explains. Like, by the way, the animation in Korra wasn't up to snuff at a lot sometimes either. So that explains a lot.
Yeah, the way I see it, as long as the show is mostly action, like if it keeps the action towards a non-action like balance that these 2 episodes have, I think it's going to be fine. Because
I will say this though, the stuff that I don't like is still tolerable. Like I don't like it, but there's more good than bad here. I know I was very harsh on certain things, but there's more. The good outweighs the bad, and there's enough good stuff that I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just go along for the ride. It's not so bad that like, I can't watch it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And particularly when like, you know, like a reason for like the animation not looking as up to par. But let me put it this way, and Clownfish brought up this good point. He goes, it's an improvement over the original show though.
Yeah, but like I just don't like people are saying the animation's amazing. What are you talking about? Like,
action scenes, it's amazing. Action, it's amazing. Non-action scenes
are not bad.
yeah,
action scenes are not bad.
just sitting there and talking, that's when I agree with you. It looks a little rough. I'll agree with you on that one.
Like
But-
the Archer, like it's the Archer comparisons I think are valid, but it's actually even worse than Archer because like Archer they did that on purpose. Here they just didn't. They're incompetent.
Now, Nick, let me ask you this: which animation style do you think looks better, this or the Tomorrowverse?
Oh,
I have to
That's-
ask.
that is a Faustian bargain, my friend. Good God.
I had to ask that because that's your criticism of the Tomorrowverse.
I think the Tomorrowverse looks slightly better because at least they like the style it feels like a deliberate choice, whereas X-Men 97 it's like, oh, we're just trying to do the original but we're copying it badly. At least Tomorrowverse, plus like Tomorrowverse got shafted on the budget. X-Men 97 is a premier Marvel product that should have gotten more budget.
It should have. It doesn't mean it did, but yeah, it should.
So I have more tolerance for Tomorrowverse looking like crap because they're direct to video. They're
Okay,
so, like,
I kind of understand that. So
I have more tolerance for Tomorrowverse knowing that they deliberately didn't get more resources, whereas X-Men 97 is a premier product.
now, actually, I'm going to ask Teladia the same question. How about you, Teladia?
I prefer X-Men 97 over Tomorrowverse. Sorry
that's
to
fine.
say.
think
No,
if they-
you're allowed to have your opinion. It's okay.
I think if the Tomorrowverse was more like this, it would be a little less like. Because my problem with the Tomorrowverse, because here's why I like this more. This actually seems a little more three-dimensional as opposed to like the Tomorrowverse seems like a lot of like just paper on a screen, kind of, and they're just moving paper figures around.
Yeah.
At
Yeah, the
least
problem-
with this, the other reason why I like this is the cell shading, and it feels like you're reading an X-Men comic.
See, the problem with X-Men 97 is it's in this weird like middle ground between like they're trying to be 2D but like trying to be 3D at the same time, and they're not really doing either well, kind of.
All right. So for the rest of this episode, I have a little thing that I want to do. Let's talk about. We're gonna give a list of our top 5 X-Men movies. So, who would like to go first?
I shall start. I mean, there's not really that many to choose from, so we're going to kind of be in the same note.
Now, note movies that essentially like Wolverine movies count.
Also, Deadpool movies.
And
Count.
Deadpool movies count.
Okay, so my list is top of the list is X-Men First Class. Number 2 is X2. Number 3 would have to be thinking here. Probably Logan.
Okay, that's a good one.
4 would be Days of Future Past, and then 5 would be Deadpool 1.
So for me, and these are in no particular order. X-Men 3: The Last Stand. I'm only kidding. X2.
Oh,
Yeah, X2. Dark Phoenix. I'm only kidding again.
oh my
So
god.
number 1 is X2. Number 2 is Deadpool. 1. I enjoyed 1 a lot more, even if 2 had that epic Rob Liefeld joke. But 3, Apocalypse. 4, Days of Future Past, particularly when Claremont told me that's the one he approves of the most. And plus, if you notice, Claremont makes a cameo in that. So does Len Wein.
Good.
And Logan. Because you can't beat the image of Wolverine reading X-Men comic books.
Oh, speaking of which, have you heard rumors that Daphne McKean is supposed to show up in Deadpool 3 as X-23?
And so supposedly she's supposed to be in the suit.
I mean, she's growing up a little bit, so like I'm actually kind of excited.
That would be really cool. I'm really excited for Deadpool 3. How about you, Teladia?
X2 as my
Okay.
number 1. Number 2, I would have to say Logan.
Okay, that's a good one.
Number 3, I would have to say the first original X-Men film.
Okay.
Number 4, I would have to say X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh,
Uh,
that's a controversial
That's
thing.
controversial right there. But okay, I can see that.
And there's a reason. I'll tell you the reason.
Sure.
Okay.
It's simply because it's all about Logan and his brother, which is Sabretooth.
Okay. I can see
I mean,
that.
yeah, you're allowed to like what you like. We're not, saying
Yeah.
you
Now,
don't
here's
like
the
it.
thing. I would have liked X-Men Origins more if it was just all the war montages throughout in the beginning. If that were the movie, solid X-Men film. That would be so cool.
Oh, wait, quick aside. You know that new Captain America game set in the 40s?
Yeah.
I really hope Wolverine appears.
Yes. I was. You know, it's getting funny. I was just thinking that because they could do that, or maybe they could bring in the other Marvel character, Namor. For those of you that don't know, Namor is the lowest lane of Marvel, in my opinion.
Or the Human Torch. They could also
Or the Human Torch, the robot,
'cause
the
you do
Human
know
Torch.
in some storylines, Wolverine was one of the Howling Commandos.
Yes, exactly. And they can all kill Namor. I would really appreciate that. Yeah. Again, Namor is the lowest lane of Marvel. I freaking hate that guy.
I swear, if one of the levels is you have to rescue Dr. Phineas.
And then you go, you also have to save Ferb. But anyway, I was going for a pun. But by the way, that Marvel game looks incredible. Like, wow.
I need to see game okay. I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
but I need to see gameplay. I need to see.
What I did say, they haven't said the LS word yet.
LS
Live service. They haven't said those words yet.
I mean, it's Amy Hennig. We kind of know what game we're getting. We're getting it. We're probably going to get an Uncharted style game, which I'm fine with. It's Amy Hennig. It's Amy friggin' Hennig is doing the story. I am here.
I'm happy about that. So,
sorry,
but anyway, but the other thing I was going back to movies. The thing I like about Logan is that you can watch it in black and white, and it's kind of like Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Plus, have you watched the Mad Max Fury Road black, white, and chrome?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, if you like black and white movies, you need to see that one.
Cool. The other thing I like about Logan is that if you pay attention, it explains it has the backstory in there if you pay attention without the exposition, because if you actually pay attention, to like the radio thing where it's talking about we haven't seen a psychic attack of this since the attack on the Xavier school.
The Westchester incident.
Yeah, the Westchester incident. And then if you pay attention to like when he's talking to that farmer, talking about people putting stuff in the food that suppressed the mutant genes. So there's like, if you're paying attention, it does the backstory without like throwing a crap ton of exposition at you.
Also, the scene at the casino basically illustrates what happened. You know?
Yeah, exactly. They don't need, essentially they go, here's what happened, but there, which I appreciate. I like that.
Also, I love how I got like how they use like the Essex Corporation, like Minister Sinister's Corporation is one behind it. Like Minister Sinister, it really sucks. Like they're clearly setting him up. Like he's a part of New Mutants. Like the Essex Corporation was the one behind all that stuff.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Speaking of Logan, we forgot an X-Men movie, Wolverine.
The Wolverine is good until the third act.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I was like, the third act is where it falls apart, because I love that scene where he gets his healing factor back, and then the guy goes, "What kind of animal are you?" The Wolverine, and then he just claws him. I like that.
It's a bit heavy-handed, like it's a bit kind of clunky, but it is great. But my favorite part is the "Don't hurt my friend." Like that's my favorite part.
I like that. My other favorite scene is the fight scene on top of the train. that was where Wolverine just jumps intentionally because he knows he's watching him. So I'm like, if I jump, he'll jump too. So he just jumps, and the guy just gets flattened.
Yeah. And I actually do really appreciate, like in the middle of the movie, that, like she gave him that thing that limited his powers to kind of like up the stakes. It's a bit of a clunky plot device, but I think it actually works for what they're doing. And I like how it like intersperses the whole Jean Grey plot line. So I'm like, yeah, exactly. But I'm like, the reason why it's not on this list is because of the third act, where I'm like, how does that transfer the healing power? I don't get it. like, okay, so to be perfectly fair, the third act is not like unwatchable. It's
no X3.
It takes okay. So up until the third act, the Wolverine is a 9.5 movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the third act itself is like a 7. So basically, with the third act, it averages out to about an 8.
This is still a good movie. It's just which I still watch occasionally because again, I like that Wolverine story and I like the whole samurai stuff with Wolverine. So
also, can we just acknowledge for a second? We all kind of agree X2 is the best X-Men movie here because all of our lists we rated like top or high. So
because it's objectively true. This is the one time where objectively it's true. That Nightcrawler scene in the beginning is the reason why.
I mean,
additionally other stories.
It's just it lets the X-Men be X-Men. It's just like there's no setup, there's no backstory. It's all just like fun interactions. Like my also favorite is like when Magneto says like, "When will these people learn to fly?"
I also one of my favorite scenes is like at the end when like Xavier's talking to the president and he goes, "It's the greatest gift we have to bear their pain without breaking." And it comes from the most human of hearts. So he's like basically saying, "Hey, we're technically human, dude." It's
also,
like
I just realized something. He used that exact same line in Days of Future Past.
Yes, exactly. That's why it's so good. Or like the other thing the scene in Days of Future Past that got me teary-eyed is when he's talking to his younger self and he goes, "Just because someone loses their way doesn't mean they're lost forever."
My favorite scene is the mansion fight. Like so many good moments. Colossus, Wolverine going berserk. Like
you also had Siren. That's the thing about the X-Men movies. If you pay attention, you know your stuff. They bring in a lot of mutants that aren't named, but you know who they are. Like Dazzler was in Dark Phoenix.
No, How did you get this? Let's just say I know a girl who can walk through walls.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about this because inevitably someone's going to put this in the comments. So with Dark Phoenix, I think it's good. It's one of those movies like Wolverine, in my opinion, where it's good until the third act. It's salvageable. Compared to X3, it's good.
The problem is it's boring. Like
true.
They go back on the old like the whole Magneto, like the whole Xavier versus Magneto, just like that, like him
constantly.
Going yeah, it's just tired. Like it just feels like they're just tired and retreading too many grounds.
What do you think, Teladia, of Dark Phoenix?
Dark Phoenix it's closer to the adaptations of the book
to a point.
To a certain point, but at the same time, is it better than X3? Yeah.
Because for the most part, I get what they're trying to do with X3. It's just
it's better than X3, but that's still not a bragging right.
Still not saying. It was kind of funny. Ironically, isn't it written by the same dude?
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So X-Men 3 was written by Simon Kinberg. Okay. Dark Phoenix was written and directed by Simon Kinberg. By the way, you want to know the only reason why this story got made?
Why?
This movie. So Jennifer Lawrence, who at the time was a huge star, she said to Simon Kinberg, "If you direct the movie, I'll star in it." So I think the only reason Simon Kinberg got hired is because Jennifer Lawrence came with it, and they just killed her off in the middle of the movie anyway.
Which was kind of odd. And the thing about it, see, I get why they replaced the aliens because they didn't want to confuse with Captain Marvel. You know, I don't think that would happen. To their credit, the alien race they used, their home was destroyed by the Phoenix. So at least to their credit,
but the race that are not shape-shifting aliens.
They're not shapeshifters. I was about to get to that. I was like, at that point, I was like, I get what you're going for. It's not working. Although, Nick, I do like the MCU reference in the movie, so I do appreciate that.
It's heavy-handed, but god dang it, do I love it. I mean, that sequence itself is kind of stupid, but just the fact that, like, because that was reshoots. That was actually reshoots. after they'd gotten bought out by Disney. So like that was kind of Simon Kinberg's FU. Like the fact that actually went through, because you know Simon, like Kevin Feige, had to see the footage and know exactly what he was doing. Like seeing the MCU on their tags, the fact that they had MCU like being captured by like the meta commentary was there.
Mm-hmm. So all in all, I'd say the X-Men have even though the X-Men have a few duds, ironically both involving Phoenix. I would say that of the Marvel movies, they're the ones I enjoy the most. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Because again, I've said forever, and this is why I was so excited for X-Men 97, because the X-Men have always been the Marvel team that I really like, because I'm going to say something crazy. Allow me to explain. They're the closest to the Justice League. What I mean by that is, in terms of power level, because I've always liked those characters that have the powers of gods, but still try and like serve. And I like I find the whole narrative we're saving a world that hates is compelling. So that's
by the way,
mm-hmm.
the original X-Men movies, like the original Bryan Singer movies, my headcanon is they take place in the same universe as Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yep, that could work.
Hugh Jackman actually was supposed to make a cameo in Spider-Man, but they
didn't Thomas
couldn't
Jane
find the
show up?
costume. Yeah, he does.
In Spider-Man 2. Yeah, so there you go. So on that note, I think it's a good place to leave it. This was a fantastic discussion. Again, X-Men 97 people.
Wait. I have to...
Yeah, go ahead.
Why the frick didn't you bring back Ron Wasserman? Why the heck is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that. Actually, real quick, last thing. Even though it's not Ron, they didn't necessarily bring back Ron. What'd you think of the theme?
I mean, it's the same thing. It just feels a little more muted. Because like Ron's original theme is like in your face and it just grabs you. This one, it seems like they kind of just dialed it back a few bits. And it's still good, but like it doesn't grab you. Like it feels like the bass is kind of turned down a little bit. Like it feels like the instruments, like it just doesn't have that kind of like edge to it, if you know what I mean.
I see. How about you, Teladia?
I have to agree with Nick on this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't really have a preference in terms of both. I like actually, no, I do. I like the first one more, but I still enjoy this one. So there's that.
Jared, have you seen the Japanese X-Men animated series theme?
I have seen that intro, and that's so badass. So I will say, though, what I did like, even though, again, the animation's a little rough, I did like how in the intro, they still had the X-Men characters doing all their poses and actions from the original intro. So at least they were homaging that. So I appreciate that. So all in all, great show. X-Men writers. I know this too late to change anything, but I really hope that it stays like this. Because if it stays like this, again, you have a hit on your hands. So that's where we're gonna leave it. Remember, Jean Grey has to stop dying, and Lois Lane is Lois Lane, and she belongs.
Oh, wait! Before we go.
Yeah.
What if they had Ms. Marvel show up and it was voiced by Brie Larson?
Well, here's the thing: they already did that storyline. Remember in the original '90s cartoon? That's a rogue.
She goes back up because she shows up as binary. Because like in the comics, after she got power taken away, she became binary.
If she's, I don't think she'll be voiced by Brie Larson, but if she is, I riot. So
also, sorry, go ahead. Just go ahead.
Yeah. So we're gonna end it there. Again, I'm gonna say it again because it needs to be reiterated. Lois Lane is Lois Lane, and she belongs with General Zod.